to another episode of Healthy Waves, where we explore the rhythms of the human experience, one meaningful conversation at a time. So, today's episode is one that I feel so many of us need right now, especially those walking the tightrope between logic and soul, structure and surrender. Yeah, so we are diving deep into the intention, what it is, how to hear it clearly, and what it takes to follow it even when it challenges everything that you thought you knew. Amazing, right? Yeah. And joining me for this powerful conversation is someone who bridges these worlds beautifully. Meet Erika. So, welcome to the show, Erika.
Thank you so much for having me.
Amazing. So, Erika, like before we start, I'll quickly love to introduce you to all the listeners. Dear listeners, Erika is a spiritual teacher, mindfulness facilitator, and the mother of two, having a very real, very human experience. So she holds a master's from the Tufts University School of Medicine and is trained in Reiki, Theta healing, NLP, and health coaching, and has also spent 15 plus years in public health before fully embracing her calling to help high achieving women reconnect with their inner wisdom. So she's been featured in the Forbes, Women's Health, and more. And her story of being fired while on maternity leave and turning that upheaval into a complete spiritual awakening is one that will resonate deeply. So let's welcome the beautifully grounded, deeply intuitive, and powerfully relatable Erika. Welcome to the show again.
Oh, wow. What an intro. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And so Erika, I mean, you have been described as a kind of, not kind as a blend of high performance habits and woo. Uh, I really love that. I mean, if you can take us back to the moment that you realized intuition wasn't kind of just a spiritual buzzword, but something that is very real, alive, and essential in your life.
Yeah, I mean, there are multiple, I would say that there are multiple instances where
Okay.
it showed, but I would say because career has been a big part of my journey and creating an identity outside of it has been an even bigger part of my journey. I would say that there was this knowing
Mm.
that I was working at a job. I was on the East Coast. I moved back to my home city of Indianapolis. I was working this job and s- I I don't want to be sound over dramatic, but there was like my soul was dying inside. Like it was just
Mm.
dying. Like my joy was leaving me. I was just convinced that I was gonna live this mundane life for the rest of my life. And note, I was like 28 at the time. Like I still have a whole life ahead of me. And it was in, I was sitting in my car and I remember thinking
Mm.
one day, stop dreaming. There's nothing left. There's nothing. This is it. Just, just go with it. And I'm not going to tell you at that exact moment my intuition or and my inner knowing came through and said, snap out of it. But a few weeks later, that belief that this is all that was started to unravel in a really big way once I started to accept that
Mhm.
I was feeling this way, that this is what I quote unquote really thought. As soon as I said it out loud, owned
Mhm.
that I was bored, right? That my soul was dying. Intuition, inner guidance, all of it started to intervene to say, okay, hold on. There is a different way forward. And I started to explore it in a really serious way.
Mhm. Wow. So um I imagine that moment during the maternity leave was both terrifying and um I mean clarifying, definitely. But was there a single intuitive hit that really cracked you open?
Yes. Ye
Okay.
yeah, there are many. Um, the the first was honestly to follow health coaching. So in that drop, like, in that story, right, the hit was, "You're in the wrong space. Go help people in a different way." And I went and I moved into health coaching, which seems like such a mundane move, right, for most people.
Okay.
But I went to Tufts Medical, you know what I mean? I got my master's, I did everything right to be making a certain salary, to be doing a certain thing, and I said, "Okay, I'm gonna go to health coaching school," after paying off everything,
Hmm.
and when I did that, what ended up happening was it unraveled how I saw, or I shouldn't say it unraveled, it started to unravel how I saw this world, because the moment I said, "Let's go follow this thing that," at the time, I would even say I thought it was silly. I thought, Coaching? Ew, ugh, health coaching? Bleh." Like, this is this
Yeah.
honestly, this is so below me," was the
Okay.
terrible mindset that I had, but again, I had all these accolades, I had all these I mean, I have letters after my name, you know what I mean? And I was just I
Yeah.
I it didn't make sense, but when I followed it, it started to unravel in that I started to see that my limited view of what health was was
Hmm.
was limited. I started to understand that it wasn't just, movement, calorie in, calorie out, right? That type of those type of very in America,
Hmm.
right? Very
Hmm.
punctuated ways of being were health. I started to expand it to say,
Hmm.
"Oh my gosh, it's energetic. Oh my gosh, it's sidewalks. Oh my gosh, it's relationships.
Yeah.
Oh my god," like, it started to just essentially, like, disintegrate and unravel this entire idea of what health meant, and then what wellness meant, and then what living meant. So I would say following following that intuitive hit to go in that direction has truly shifted everything in my life, because instead of saying I'm defined by these things I thought meant something to somebody, mainly me, right? And
Yeah.
and I'm Filipino, like, anyone who has any Filipino relatives or, Asian, you get parents loving doctors after, and they love these things,
Yes.
right? And so turning in the opposite direction and saying, I'm going to go do this thing that nobody gets, myself included,
Hmm.
it changed the trajectory of my life. And so I'm grateful that I did it. But I will say it was challenging because it did involve
Mhm.
a lot of unraveling and a lot of reflection about who I thought I was, that has
Right.
continued to this day.
Mhm. True. Exactly. And like you have also mentioned that even though you were doing the work, you hadn't fully surrendered. Like, why do you think so many high achievers are reassessed? Sorry, so many high achievers resist full trust in intuition, even when they um, crave the alignment.
The the obvious answer is fear, right? It's really scary.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna take it a little bit higher up in the chain, right? So at the root, it's
Okay.
fear. I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared, I don't know. But really, what I would say is that we have crafted identities of who we are. So I am a high achiever. I am a VP. So usually that translates into I'm a coach. I'm a VP of sales.
Mm.
I'm the breadwinner of my family.
Yep.
I'm a master's holder. I'm whatever. You have this identity that you've
Mm.
crafted, and this identity mixes, right, with what the world has told you success
Mm.
looks like. So then you have an identity around success. You have a belief around success. And so we have these identities of how we're supposed to show up and play in this world and like play our part in the role. And when you start to decide that that's not your identity anymore, your ego pushes back, your family pushes back, your uh,
Yeah.
everything around you pushes back. And so then you begin to doubt what you heard, and then, at
Exactly.
play is the fear, but I would say the reason not a lot of people look at, they're like, "Oh, yeah, I'm just scared. Oh, yeah, it's just this thing. Oh, I just gotta push past. I get it." Like,
Mm.
very superficially, but it's like, no, you have an identity around what this thing means to you, whatever that thing is. And that is really what's preventing you from moving forward. And, I get it. It's scary to pull that apart. But when you realize that you aren't that thing or that relationship or that whatever you put after I am, you're able to move forward in a way that really embodies the trust that is inherent in all of us.
Right. Wow. And like, so if I have to say, ask you, like, what are some of the most common ways that intuition speaks to us, especially for the people who think they are not intuitive? So, what do you have to say?
Y it starts small, right?
Okay.
Intuition doesn't normally scream first and foremost. There are moments when it screams, when it yells, like,
Okay.
"Go," like, "Wake up, go left," right? Like, there are moments when the veil truly drops and your intuition, your inner being, whatever you wanna call it, is
Mm.
screaming at you. But for the most part, it's like tiny little nudges. And
Okay.
for those who are new to it, it
Mm.
it sounds silly, but it sounds like preference, like,
Mm.
"Should I get this peanut butter or that peanut butter?"
Mhm.
You know?
Mm.
"Should I get this meal or that meal?" And it's allowing you to say, "Okay, that's the thing that feels most nourishing," versus, "That's the thing that makes the most economical sense," or, "This is the thing that makes the most physical sense." It's like these little tiny nudges of, "Oh, that would delight me. Oh, that would feel
Exactly.
good," right? It's like picking a song that it sounds so silly, but picking a song you really like and, like, taking the 2 seconds to find it versus just going with whatever is put on. So I would say intuition starts to, like, really push
Mm.
in that way, and then as you start to listen to it, it starts to nudge you to talk to that person, to, look up something on the internet, to, uh, you know, go to this store instead of that store. And you don't know why you want to go to that store today because
Mm.
you've never gone to that store. You've never had any interest. But there's something that's just like spinning in your head that's like, go there. Just try it out, see what you can find. And that
Mm.
is how intuition begins to speak. When you start to develop a relationship with your
Mm.
intuition, it it answers back or it hears you before you ask and starts to
Mhm.
provide the little, steps along the way. But to start with, it's this little niggling feeling of, "That would delight me. That would be nice.
Mm.
I want to do that." That's how it starts.
True. Got it. Huh. And like, so when you're working with someone who's highly cerebral or data driven, what's your first step to help them recognize intuitive guidance?
Oh, that's such a good question because
Mhm.
that's so many of us, like,
Yeah.
we're very intellectual
Mm.
people, and that's part of our identity, and we
Yeah.
like being smart, and we hate acknowledging that we like
Yes.
being smart.
Very true.
Uh,
Yeah.
but you are, and that's okay, and in fact, it's great. It's part of your experience here. And so when I work with people like that,
Mm.
I start to get them, and this is actually a really big leap, right? It goes back to what we were just talking about. Like, what do you want? What would make you happy?
Mm.
And like for a lot of people, I ask them to write I call it a pleasure list. Like, write the things that bring you pleasure. Like, and I don't mean, in the sexual sense, right? I mean like
Yeah.
that delight you, that like make you a little giddy inside or make you a lot of giddy outside, And it's like writing down this list and beginning to recognize what they are because often they're small, right? They're these like
Mm.
tiny little things that delight us that we have not put into our life, but we easily could because we think, oh, I got to go to Bali, right? Like that's
Mm.
that's what would make me happy. And it's actually like listening to my kid laugh is one of my favorite things. And you just write that down. And then you get to,
Mm.
and from there, you start to do those things. You
Mm.
start to do because intuition is the thing that lights you up, right? There is this like this
Right.
joy in it. Like it doesn't always make sense, but it like delights you, right? It lights you up. And a lot of us we don't have the ability to hold that light. because of all of the stuff in our life or all of the conditioning.
Okay.
And so starting here by actually feeling what it feels like to be lit up, feeling what it feels like to do what you want without
Hmm.
feeling guilt, even if it's for a few seconds, right? Doing that to start with, that starts to open up the space
Mhm.
to hear what can come through because now you're in the vibration of it and you're actively working to hold space for your intuition and that knowledge to drop.
Exactly. Wow. So, like, is it about slowing down or repattering? So, what would you say?
It's both. Where I would
Mhm.
what I would say though to your question about like the cerebral, intellectual, high achieving folks, it's initially a slowdown because
Yeah.
when we think about healing and reconnecting with our truth, with our intuition, right? It's an act of subtraction. So what I mean by that is if we agree that you're a soul having a human experience,
Mm.
that means you are perfect and whole and you were never broken. And so if that's the case, and you start from that premise, then there's nothing outside of you that will make you feel whole because you already are. And so your job then becomes to remove things that make you think you're broken. And so to do that, it's a slowing down process because we've
Mhm.
become so habituated into just doing things. We don't I mean, I don't know if this has been your reality, but there are times where I'm going down a street because that's what street I always go down on a Monday,
Mm.
realizing, "Oh, it's a school day." You know, like, I'm not going to drop my kid off
Mm.
to, her preschool, but it's 7:55 on a Monday and I'm in the car. And so we just do these things out of habit. And so in order to like identify what needs to be released, let alone release, we have to slow down and drop things from our life so that we can
Mm.
understand where we've been doing and where we've been pushing and where we actually need to just be.
Actually, very true. So, like, uh, if you can also walk us through a time when you received an intuitive nudge that didn't make logical sense, but you followed it anyway.
I'm like spiritual teaching. So like who am I? You know what I mean? It's like I'm uh I I I have the credentials to be a great wellness coach. I have the credentials to work in food tech. I have the credentials to work in public health. I'm not going to say I don't have the credentials to be a spiritual mentor or a mindfulness facilitator. But what I will say is like, what? Me? Uh, it doesn't to me, it sometimes doesn't make rational sense. Um, I mean, often it doesn't make rational sense to me, but following it has brought more joy in my life than I ever thought imaginable. Because in order to get into this space, you have to say your truth often. And and here's the thing, maybe I'm not meant to be a spiritual mentor for my whole life. That's okay with me. What I know that this nudge has brought, following this intuitive hit has brought, it has allowed me to speak my truth in such a way that it has freed me from the confines of the identities, right, that I have placed on myself. And so now I have so much joy. I mean, truly, I'm a 39-year-old, like white Filipina, like who lives you know, a pretty good life. And like I haven't gone through the crazy struggles, right? Some of these mentors that I have or mentors that I'm used to reading about have. And it really made no sense to me. But here I am
Mm.
speaking to you, and I get to do podcasts. I'm speaking in groups. I'm coaching people. I do so much with it, and I never honestly thought it was possible for me, or even really had the dream of it.
Exactly, exactly true. So, uh, also, like that moment of tension, like between your brain screaming no and your soul whispering yes, is where I think real transformation begins. What you say?
Oh, yes, 100%. Yes.
Yeah. Lovely, lovely. And also, like, if you talk about the fear part, um, what's your advice for someone who gets an intuitive download, but is too afraid to act on it as well? What do you say?
Yeah, I would say look at the fear instead of running away from it. So oftentimes we get this like intuitive hit, right? And we're like, "Yes, great, I've been looking for it." And it comes in and we're so excited. And then we're like, but I don't know how. I don't know how to make this happen. I don't know how to
Mm,
say that thing. I don't know how to follow that path. And we try to do one of two things, or we do one of two things. We try to push past it and just bulldoze our way through because that's how we've pretty much lived our whole life, or we do nothing with it, right? And we just tuck it in our back and then we get mad at ourselves every single time we think it, or we just try to numb it out. And what you really want to do is the other the third option, which is just
mhm,
stare at it. Okay, you got an intuitive hit. Okay, you you feel like it's impossible to move it through. Okay, just be with that. I don't want to do it. This feels really scary. I hate that this is the advice God source creator gave to me. I hate it. This is dumb. I'm dumb. Like, just be with it. Stare it in the face because as you sit with it and you just watch your thoughts or feel your feelings for as long as they need the
mhm.
space to be, they'll eventually quiet. 'Cause they just wanna be seen, right? Your ego just wants to be
Yeah.
seen, and so when you sit with it long enough, you get to the state of your true nature, and either you reach peace and know, "Hey, I don't have to move right now. It's okay where I am. I'll come back to it when it's time," or whatever, or you'll hear like, "It's okay, you can do it," and then you'll get a clear next step forward. Uh Often we get so obsessive about the how and then freak out when we can't get it or it feels too much, and it's like, just accept how you feel first and
Mm,
then move. And I'll give you a quick example. I lived in
mhm.
Boston for a while, for like 6 years, and I'm from Indianapolis, and my whole and I don't know if you were like this, but I was like, "I gotta get out of Indianapolis." Like, when I graduated, I gotta go. Like, I'm not h I'm a f like, I'm yeah, I'm better than these people, whatever the story is, like, I gotta go. This town's too small
Mm,
for me, right? Which is not true. But at the time, it was really true, and I moved to the East Coast. I'd been there for a decade. I was in DC for a bit, then I moved to, Boston, and about 6 years into Boston, so 9 years on the East Coast, I was like, "I have to go home." Like, I have to go home. I have to get
exactly.
out of here. I cannot my whole body, "You have to leave," and it was
Mm,
terrifying.
true.
'Cause like, I was d like, he's my husband now, but I was dating a person, like, I had a whole life out here, my whole identity was wrapped up into it, and I didn't stare it in the face, right? Like,
Mm,
didn't. And what ended up happening was I hit a point where I was like, I said to his name is Nick, my husband's name is Nick. I go, "I have to go and I would love if you would come, but like I have to leave." And it just like poured out of me and it was like so stressful. Instead of just saying, "Okay, I don't want to
Great.
go. I don't I don't know why." Like, just let me be part of the experience and integrating it and letting it go. I mean, it just like fell out of me. Like, angry, screaming, and then I was scrambling to find a job because I was like, "I have to get out of here, and I'm gonna die if I see it." It was like it was just all of this emotion, all of this stress to get out, because instead of saying like, "I really don't feel like I wanna go, even though I know I should," and, like, just letting myself unravel and see what all of it was about and taking my time and recognizing that, like, I'm supported, I just blew up. And,
Mm.
that's avoidable. Like,
Yeah.
avoidable if we could hear our little guidance and then let ourselves take time to be with it until we get to that space where we can hear it and go.
True. Exactly. Ah, amazing. That's really amazing, I have to say. And um, also, like, you have coached many women through this transition. So, what role does community or maybe coaching play in helping someone honor their intuition? What do you have to say?
And making sure I'm hearing this question correctly. So you're saying what what advice would I give to help women and people honor their intuition?
You can say yes.
Is that the question? If it's wrong, then
No, no, definitely, definitely. Yeah, yeah.
okay. Um, good question. It, it goes. I mean, I know I just said it, but
Okay.
I believe it bears repeating. It's accepting all of it that comes with it. When you get the intuitive hit
Hmm.
and you have feelings about it, some good, some bad, some in between, feel them, look at them,
Hmm.
be with them, because you're not here just to honor the spirit, right? The soul, the thing having whatever, the consciousness, whatever it is. You came here to have a human experience. And a human experience you will have. And that looks like honoring all the parts of yourself, all the feelings you have, all the thoughts you have around this. Because when you honor that, you recognize that, okay, my language will be the ego. The ego really wants me not to do this. And here are all the reasons why. And I can see it. And I love the version of me that thought all the things that I right there were true. I love you. You're great. And I know this is true. And moving from that space is kind. It's it's loving, it's peaceful, it's joyous. And that's why our intuition is coming through, right? To bring us back to those natural states. And so when we honor it all and feel it, t- um, and then get to that place of gratitude and all those things, then we're able to move forward in a much more peaceful manner and in the way we want to be. And so for me, honoring your intuition is honoring all of you that came before it if it decides to if those things present themselves. So that would be my advice, and that's what I tell clients all the time. It's this paradox of, none of that stuff is really true, and I feel it all, right? None of that stuff is really true, and I feel it all, honor it, and move forward.
Hmm. Very true. Understood. So, like, wow. And looking back now, what has trusting your intuition given you that logic alone that never could?
Joy. I mean,
Mhm,
that's the word that comes up. I
mhm,
am joyful, and that doesn't feel like a quote unquote big deal when I say it out loud, but I know there's so many people who are suffering in this world, and I'm not joyful because of my privilege, right? And I'm not joyful
mhm.
because nothing bad happens in my life. Like there are some things that I would not prefer to happen or have happened.
Okay.
But I can see all those experiences for what they are, and they don't drag me down. And I can say, yeah, I'm joyful. I laugh freely. I am in the moment and I can see, like I can watch the sun. I mean, it sounds so like, silly and it sounds so like old me would be laughing at me about this, but I can just watch the sun rays hit a table, smile. And that logic couldn't get me to joy. Logic can't get me to that peace and serenity that comes with the joy. Like it just couldn't. But as I mentioned previously, following my intuition opened me up to the truth, both speaking it to others and to myself. And as a result, it's enabled me to right then step into my true nature even further because I understand that love looks multiple ways. And when I understand that love shows up in multiple facets, I can sit in joy even when chaos is happening around me.
Correct. Wow. Amazing. Amazing. So, I mean, what an heart opening and soul aligning conversation, Erika. I mean, dear listeners, if you're listening right now and feeling that inner spark, that quiet nudge, take this as your sign. Whether it's starting something new, or um, maybe walking away, or simply learning to sit with your truth. Your intuition is not here to confuse you. It's here to guide you back home. And as Erika reminded us, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is dunk your head. Fully commit to the inner work, especially when it's messy, uncomfortable, or unclear. So, Erika, if someone wants to connect with you, how they can connect?
I'm on Instagram and TikTok at Erica Ballard _. You can also find me at my website, ericaballard.co. And then for anyone who's listening who wants to connect to their inner guidance, I have a free guided meditation with journal prompts. If that would be helpful for them to drop in and really hear it from the heart so they can figure out what their next step is.
Wow, that's amazing. Great. So I'll put all the links into the show notes, dear listeners. And if this conversation started something in you, share it with a friend who's on the brink of something beautiful. And don't forget to follow us on for more soulful discussions like this. So with this hope, until next time, stay aligned, stay curious, and keep riding the healthy waves of life. So thank you so much.
Thank you.